Iran says it has launched waves of ballistic missiles towards Israel in retaliation for a major attack on Tehran's nuclear and military sites. Explosions were heard over Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as sirens sounded across Israel on Friday night. This follows an unprecedented attack by Israel in the early hours of Friday, which targeted Iranian nuclear sites, senior military commanders, and scientists. Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei said Israel's strikes had initiated a war, and it would not be allowed to do hit-and-run attacks without consequences. The Zionist regime Israel will not remain unscathed from the consequences of its crime. The Iranian nation must be guaranteed that our response will not be half-measured, Khamenei said in a statement. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said Iran carried out its crushing and precise response against dozens of targets, military centers and air bases in Israel at the command of Supreme Leader Khamenei. 3 separate waves of attacks and hundreds of missiles were launched at Israel on Friday night, Iranian state news agency IRNA said. At least one projectile impacted central Tel Aviv, said Al Jazeera's Noor Odeh, reporting from Amman, Jordan. However, the Israeli military said Iran fired fewer than 100 missiles, most of which were either intercepted or fell short. The United States military also helped Israel shoot down Iranian missiles heading towards the country, the Reuters and Associated Press news agencies reported, citing unnamed U.S. officials. Still, during the barrage, a modern apartment block was hit in central Tel Aviv, and according to live footage from the scene, fires raged inside some of the apartments, with smoke billowing from the building. Another residential building, next to the apartment block, also appeared to have suffered significant damage, with windows blown and pieces of twisted metal hanging from its exterior. At least 40 people have been injured during the attack, according to the Israeli news outlet Haaretz, citing emergency services. Earlier, the Israeli ambulance service said 2 seriously wounded people were trapped in a building in the greater Tel Aviv area. The Israeli army told citizens that they were now allowed to leave protected spaces after an earlier announcement called on residents to avoid public spaces amid a potential Iranian attack. This was an extensive volley of ballistic missiles, something that Tel Aviv is not used to, Odeh said. Psychologically, the sight of damaged buildings, of emergency service providers trying to get people out of those buildings and out of the shelters, this is quite powerful for the Israeli public. Following the attack, Iran announced that its airspace would be closed until 2 p.m. local time on Saturday. At the same time, air defense systems have been activated in Tehran to intercept new Israeli strikes, RNA reported. Israel's attacks on Iran on Friday killed several top Iranian generals and scientists, including the Armed Forces Chief of Staff, Major General Mohammad Bagheri, and the IRGC Chief, Hossein Salami. However, Major General Mohammad Pakpour was swiftly promoted to replace Salami. Iran's ambassador to the United Nations, Amir Saeed Iravani, told the UN Security Council that 78 people were killed and more than 320 others injured in Israel's Friday attacks, including women and children. In a letter to Khamenei read out on state television, Pakpour promised that the gates of hell will open to the child-killing regime, referring to Israel. During Israel's surprise attack, its military said it had struck more than 200 targets across Iran. Before Iran's retaliatory strikes, Israeli military spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Defrin told journalists that Israel's army was continuing to strike. Iran has the ability to significantly harm the Israeli home front. Defrin told a televised news conference that was cut short due to what the army said was an incoming attack. Defrin added that the army had targeted the nuclear facility in Iran's Isfahan and that the operation was still ongoing. Iran's Atomic Energy Agency said there was limited damage to the Isfahan nuclear site and the Fordo nuclear site south of Tehran, which was also targeted. The damage was limited to areas that did not cause any urban damage in the case of Fordo. In Isfahan, there were also attacks on several points, which were related to warehouses that caught fire, said agency spokesperson Behrouz Kamalvandi. He added that the damage was not extensive and there is no cause for concern in terms of contamination. Earlier, Israel also attacked the Natanz nuclear enrichment site in Iran. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, said that the attack may have damaged centrifuges and there was radiological and chemical contamination inside the facility, but the contamination was manageable with appropriate measures. In a statement earlier on Friday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he expected several waves of Iranian attacks in response to Israel's actions. Later, during Iran's attack on Friday night, Netanyahu said in a statement directed at Iranian citizens that Israel's operation was to thwart the Islamic regime's nuclear and ballistic missile threat. As we achieve our objective, we are also clearing the path for you to achieve your freedom. The regime does not know what hit them or what will hit them. It has never been weaker. This is your opportunity to stand up and let your voices be heard, he said. Be heard. Israeli aviation struck a uranium enrichment nuclear facility in Natanz, one of the key elements of Iran's nuclear infrastructure. On the night leading into Friday, Israel attacked several strategically important sites in Iran, including the main uranium enrichment center in Natanz. Satellite images taken by Airbus Defense and released by the Open Source Center have documented significant damage to the complex. In particular, it is visible that several buildings were destroyed or seriously damaged as a result of the nighttime strike. Rafael Grossi, head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, stated that the Natanz facility sustained significant damage. The Natanz facility has been seriously damaged, Grossi said, citing data provided to him by sources. The IAEA chief also said that he plans to travel to Iran in the near future to assess the situation on the ground. Despite this, Iranian officials claimed that the key underground parts of the nuclear facility were not damaged. According to them, only the above-ground structures were damaged. The Iranian agency MER, citing the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, reported that some parts of the facility were damaged due to the attack, but assured that the strategic infrastructure remained intact. Meanwhile, in Israel, officials are confident that the airstrikes had a significant impact. According to Israeli authorities, the strikes substantially affected Iran's uranium enrichment capabilities and sent a clear message against the unacceptable development of the nuclear program. Overall, the Israeli Air Force conducted strikes on uranium enrichment facilities in Natanz and Fordo, as well as missile bases in Kermanshah and Khorramabad. The attacks also targeted Tehran, Isfahan, Tabriz, and other major Iranian cities where Iranian officials and scientists connected to the nuclear program, as well as high-ranking military personnel, reside. In an official statement, the Israel Defense Forces said the strikes were executed to damage Iran's nuclear program and in response to the ongoing aggression of the Iranian regime against Israel. The Israeli intelligence agency Mossad has established a drone base inside Iran. The Times of Israel reported on this, citing a security official. The base, located near Tehran, was activated on the night of June 13th to execute strikes on missile installations aimed at Israel. The media notes that Israel has been preparing for years for an operation against Iran's nuclear and missile programs, including establishing a drone base inside Iran, importing precision weapons, and deploying intelligence agents within the country. These efforts relied on close joint planning between the Israel Defense Forces and the Mossad intelligence agency. According to the official, Mossad agents established a drone base near Iran's capital, Tehran. It is reported that the drones were activated during the night and struck Iranian ground-to-ground missile launchers, likely ballistic missiles. Additionally, vehicles carrying weapon systems were smuggled into Iran. These systems destroyed Iran's air defense and gave Israeli aircraft air superiority and freedom of action over Iran, the publication reported. Another covert operation involved Mossad personnel deploying precision missiles near air defense facilities in central Iran. It is noted that these operations relied on innovative thinking, bold planning, and the operational use of advanced technologies, special units, and agents operating deep within Iran, completely avoiding the attention of local intelligence. Early in the morning on June 13th, Israel officially announced a preemptive strike against Iran aimed at destroying nuclear and military facilities. As a result of the operation, the leadership of the Armed Forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, as well as leading nuclear scientists, were also neutralized.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.